Hello everyone, my name is Maria Tadeu and this is my final project for business modeling with spreadsheets at Baruch College. For my project, I decided to work on a wedding planning and using VBA and Solver to help the couple make some decisions regarding to their wedding. So as soon as we open my Excel spreadsheet, we can see that I have this message box that shows up just saying welcome to Sarah, and this was all coded on VBA. And I just click OK, and let me guide you through the different tabs. So the first one is summary, and here we can see all the options that we will be making along the way, and the only action we have to do here is insert the number of guests. So for now, let's just put 200 guests, and as you can see, some things already changed, but we will see that in a second. So after that, we have the blue tabs from venue to desserts, and these are actually the tabs where we are going to make decisions. For venues, as you can see, we have some venues that are cut off, actually some rooms. We have 3 different venues and different rooms per venue. Some of them are cut off, and that means that these rooms do not have the capacity for the number of guests that we have. And using some formulas and VBA, we will then choose for each one of the venues the least expensive option that has the capacity for the number of guests we have. So right now, let's say I select the Ring Hotel and I go back to the summary, and as you can see, the Ring Hotel, the Jupiter room is selected. Also, there are seats per table here. There is some information about that. That is because when we think about decoration, this will have an impact on that. So the number of tables will affect that as well. If we do not have a preference for one of the venues, we can click here, no preference. And using VBA, this will select the least expensive option from the 3 that are available. And in this case, the least expensive option for 200 guests is Hotel Weddy, Room Joker, 20 tables. Let's change this to 120 and see. For 120, the least expensive room is actually Regal, and the number of tables is 12. So as you can see, it's actually 7,500, and no other venue has a least expensive option for this number of guests. So this is what we have for venues. As for decoration, we have 6 different categories, each one with different options. And as we choose a different option, we can see not only the price changing, but also the image. This is VBA code bringing to front the image that corresponds to each one of these option buttons. So let's just select a different combination here. Let's say we don't need table runners. And as you can see, the price for each one is updated here. For catering, we have something similar. So we have different images and different prices, but the images don't change. So here we also use a combination, and this information on the right is updated, and the price per person is a sum of these 3. Let's say we want the mushroom with octopus and the beef. And the price per person is 82.85 for the catering. For cake, this is something different as well. I divided a cake into 4 different parts: cake itself, filling, ice, and layers. Each one has different options, and for instance, the cake can be a banana cake or a chocolate cake or white cake. And with conditional formatting, I'm attributing a color that corresponds to the flavor that I am choosing. So let's say I want, white cake. As you can see, the price is updated here when I make changes, and the filling can be nuts with chocolate icing, and the default is 1 layer, so the price does not increase with 1 layer, but if I want to, I get a little increase in price, so let's keep it this way. Price per person, $3.25. As for gifts, we also have different options. So let's say we have to choose between these 3 options, but then for each one of them, I have the option to personalize it. And if I do, the price per person increases in $1. And that happens to all the different, this is using VBA as well, so it happens to each one of the different options. So let's stay with the hot chocolate here and personalized. Moving on, we have desserts. And here I did something different. I decided that the families of the bride and the groom are going to bake the desserts for the wedding. And we are going to use a solver to minimize the cost per dessert, actually per person for the desserts. I got some recipes online that are here, and these are the ingredients needed for each one of the desserts. And I went to Amazon.com and I got these costs per package. The capacity of each package, the conversion, and this conversion is actually using this table here, the conversion table, the units that are mentioned on the recipe, and then the cost per unit, which is just one divided by the other. Using this, I got to the conclusion that for baking one dessert, I will have this cost per dessert. But then, since each dessert has a different number of servings, which I came up with, the cost per serving is just one divided by the other. If we bake one dessert, again, this is the baked servings that we have, and these are the ingredients that we will need. If we sum this row, we have the quantity per ingredient that we will be needing. And next to it, a roundup formula that gives us the number of packages that we need. For instance, for heavy cream, we know that each package includes 2 cups. But since we need 2.75 and we cannot buy a fraction of a package, we need to buy 2 packages. This number is then multiplied by the cost to give us the total cost of the ingredients. Below, we also have what is left after the wedding, so this is the waste. Let's use a solver here to minimize this cost in given some constraints. So we are minimizing this cost by changing the baked desserts that we need to make. And these baked desserts have to be bigger than 0, and they cannot be a fraction. Also, the baked servings, I have 2 conditions here. One is saying that each guest needs to have at least 1 serving. So the number of servings per dessert needs to be at least the same as the number of guests, but it cannot exceed 4 times the number of guests, because that would be too much. And if I click solve, I get 275.93. Let's see the answer report. So they all went from 1 to 4, and this is the final result that we had. So the original value with 1 baking dessert was 138.96, and it went to this value here. But then let's go back, because I decided to do another solver with something different. Let's say that our goal is actually to minimize the leftovers. So let's go back to solver, and now instead of minimizing this cell, I want to minimize here, and everything else is the same. I click on solve, and there you go. So we are minimizing the waste, and to do so, we are going from these quantities here to these final quantities, reducing the waste from 578 to 450. And these are the conditions that we applied. And that is it for dessert. And the price went a little bit up, but we are saving on waste. So at the end we have the cost. This summarizes the cost of all the options that we made. And if we go back, like I said in the beginning here, we can see what the wedding is all about and the final cost as well. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed it.